There are wounds the world never sees, wounds that do not bleed, yet change a person forever. Some people break under them, but some return with a silence so powerful it unsettles everyone around them. This is one of those stories. By the lake of a quiet old town, there is a wooden house that no one dares to enter after sunset. Some say the man who lives there has lost everything a human heart can bear. Others say he has seen sorrow so deep that it reshaped him into someone unbreakable. His name is Haran. Once surrounded by laughter, warmth, and family, now he walks alone among silent mornings and long evenings. Yet here is the mystery that keeps the townspeople whispering. Haran smiles. Not the smile of someone who has forgotten pain, but the smile of someone who has walked through the fire and somehow returned carrying water for others. The Meaningful Tales warmly welcomes you. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is not merely a story, but a window into the hidden geography of the human heart. A story of how a person can lose everything, and instead of collapsing, rise with a peace so profound that it unsettles those who witness it. Before we continue, if this opening touches something in you, consider subscribing to support the journey of more meaningful stories like this. Question for reflection. A. Strength comes from winning. B. Strength comes from surviving loss. Comment A or B below. Min had never imagined that life could unravel so quickly. Only a year ago, he was the kind of student teachers praised and relatives pointed to with pride. Every plan seemed clear, every step measured. But the world shifted beneath him. The scholarship he had worked toward slipped through his fingers. A friend he trusted spoke behind his back, turning warmth into cold distance. At home, the disappointment was not shouted, but felt in the silence, in the comparisons, in the quiet sighs that said, "You were supposed to be more." It was the kind of pain that did not leave bruises, but hollowed out the inside where hope used to live. He came to the lakeside town not to find answers, but simply to breathe somewhere no one knew his name. Yet even here, the weight stayed. Days passed with numb steps along the quiet roads, his thoughts flickering between anger and exhaustion. He did not know what he was searching for, only that something inside him felt broken in a way he did not know how to mend. It was during one of those silent walks by the lake that he first noticed the old man, and something in the stillness around him felt strangely familiar. One late afternoon, as the lake reflected a pale gold sky, Min found himself stopping near the old house without realizing why. Haran was there, sitting on a low wooden stool, gently plucking a few quiet notes from his sitar. The melody was simple, almost fragile, yet it carried something that felt older than grief and softer than memory. Min stood there, watching the slow, unhurried movements of Haran's hands. Hands that had clearly known both work and loss. For a long moment, neither spoke. There was no need. The silence itself felt like a conversation. Min finally stepped closer, the words slipping out before he could think. "How do you do it?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "How do you stay like this? Calm. Whole. When everything you loved is gone?" It was not a question of curiosity, but a plea born from exhaustion. Haran lifted his gaze, and his eyes were neither sad nor joyful, only steady, like deep water that has survived many storms. He did not answer immediately. Instead, he set the instrument aside and gestured for Min to sit with him by the lake, as if the explanation required the presence of water, wind, and time. Haran sat quietly for a while, as though deciding where to begin. When he finally spoke, his voice was gentle, but carried the weight of years. He told Min that there was once a time when his life was overflowing with warmth. He had a wife whose laughter made the small house feel like spring, and a son whose footsteps filled the mornings with purpose. Then, one season, the river rose without warning. Storms do not negotiate. In a single night, everything that made life feel worth living was taken from him. In the months that followed, he walked like a man made of ashes. He tried to hold on to anger, to blame the world, to blame God, to blame fate. None of it brought the dead back. None of it healed. One day, Haran said, "I understood that pain does not leave because we fight it. Pain leaves when it has taught us what it came to teach." He looked at Min with steady eyes and lifted 3 fingers. "Accept what cannot be undone, not because it is easy, but because resistance only deepens the wound. Be grateful for even the smallest remnants of life, for gratitude is a quiet anchor. And give, not to be remembered, but to remain human. When Min left the lakeside that evening, nothing in the world around him had changed. The town was still quiet, his future still uncertain, and the echoes of disappointment at home still waited for his return. Yet something imperceptible had shifted inside him. The heaviness he carried was still present, but now it had shape, meaning, and a place to rest. He began to wake each morning with a small ritual. Before touching his phone, before thinking of expectations, he would sit by the window and name one thing, just one, for which he could be grateful. Some days it was nothing more than the warmth of sunlight or the sound of distant birds, but it was enough. He no longer tried to chase the approval of those who could not understand him, nor did he try to erase the pain of what he had lost. Instead, he chose to acknowledge the quiet truth Heron had taught him. Life does not become gentle. We become gentle with life. In helping a neighbor carry groceries, in listening without judgment, in offering what little he had, Min found a quiet strength returning to him. Healing did not arrive suddenly. It arrived the way dawn does, slowly, then all at once. In the quiet space between loss and renewal, both Heron and Min discovered that life does not promise safety from pain. What it does offer, however, is the chance to choose who we become after the breaking. Healing is not forgetting, nor is it pretending that nothing was lost. It is allowing ourselves to sit with our grief long enough to understand what it has come to teach us. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the gentle recognition that some things cannot be changed. Gratitude is not denial. It is the act of honoring what remains. And giving does not erase our wounds. It simply reminds us that we are still capable of love, presence, and meaning. Lesson. Strength grows not from avoiding suffering, but from learning to live with an open heart despite it. Reflection. Question. Do you believe healing begins with acceptance or with time? Please share your answer below. If this story touched you, consider subscribing to support more meaningful tales ahead.